What are your WTF family traditions? For the last 8 years my brothers and I have surgically removed a cyst from my mother's head every Thanksgiving or Christmas. 1 year both. It started Thanksgiving 2005. 2 of my brothers had just finished their first year as surgical technicians, and we had a couple nurses and an anesthetist around. My mother had always grown these horrible cysts on her head, but refused to go get them taken care of because she hated doctors and logic. So that Thanksgiving my oldest brother had enough, and after lots of ribbing, convinced mom to let us cut one out. We cut out the first one using discarded medical supplies from the hospital and some local anesthetics that my brother had liberated in anticipation of his plan. The procedure was successful. My youngest brother only passed out once, and we've cut one out every year since. Mom no longer looks like she has aliens coming out of her head, and we all get to work out our childhood frustrations by safely and carefully taking a scalpel to her head. When I was a kid, the aunts and uncles would get all the kids a gallon of their favorite ice cream on the 4th of July. They would sit us down at a table and give us all our ice cream at the same time. Here's the fun part. The first kid to tackle the entire gallon of ice cream got $5. This always led to all of us kids eating ice cream very quickly, and thus getting brain freeze, ice cream headache. Within minutes there are a half dozen children roaming the backyard clutching at their sinuses in pain, while adults laugh at them. I'm so glad I finally caught on. My mom couldn't remember if there was a mythical creature associated with birthdays like there is for Christmas, Easter, losing teeth, etc. So in a panic she made one up, hoping it was the right one. We grew up with the birthday platypus. My mom's logic after inventing the birthday platypus was that she couldn't get rid of him without probably also destroying Santa Claus, so she kept him around. It didn't help my brother and I with not being the weird kids at school when asking other kids what the birthday platypus brought them. 20 plus years later, and we still celebrate with the birthday platypus. The aunts fight. I mean like literally fight. They will get wasted and just get louder and louder, and then one will shout something along the lines of, "You want to back that up?" And then they will go outside and fight. We all watch and cheer for our favorite aunt to win, and sometimes we will even videotape the fight so that we can watch it later and laugh about it. It is pretty normal. My brother-in-law thought the 3 wolf moon shirts were hilarious, so he bought one. My husband also thought it was funny, so he bought one with more wolves on it to up the ante. My sister and I then bought a wolf shirt for my dad so he could fit in with the guys. They wear these shirts in public when they are all together and call themselves the Wolf Pack. My parents even named their boat 3 Wolf Moon. My sister and I are both due to have little boys this winter. We are on the hunt for wolfonces. It's not really WTF unless you aren't warned. Every year our Thanksgiving consists of all the neighborhood strays, usually around 25 people. The food is glorious and wine is plentiful. When everyone is seated for dinner, my dad does a toast and then turns on the song Alice's Restaurant. Our entire family and regular guests sing the song as it's being played. The newcomers are usually a little mortified and stunned that 20 people are singing the same song around the dinner table. B. We know all the words. C. The song is so damn long. I've grown to love this tradition. Whenever we make a turkey or goose for Thanksgiving and Christmas, we have to slap it. I don't know why. The slapping takes place when the turkey is in the roasting pan. You just slap it with moderate force, about the force you would use to slap a fly or mosquito on your leg. Whenever I ask my grandmom, she would sing its tradition and never answer the question beyond that. My sister accidentally started a tradition when she was a kid. She wandered into my parents' room one evening after watching TV and asked them, "Who is John Belushi?" I think she was 8 or 9 at the time. My parents, who were big fans, told her who he was and then asked her why she wanted to know. Her response was, "Oh, he died," and she wandered out of their room. She did the same thing about a week later with another celebrity, and my parents, having forgotten about how she asked about John Belushi, responded the same way, explaining who the celebrity was and then asking why, and got the same response from my sister. "Oh, he died." Now whenever there is a celebrity death, everyone in my family and several family friends rush to call/text someone else in the family so they can be the first person to report it, and the call/text always starts with "who is." and usually the other person responds with, "Oh no, how did they die?" The person who manages to tell someone else first usually is referred to as winning that round. We are a little morbid. Easter, we reenact that scene from Indiana Jones where Indy has to pick the correct grail. 4 siblings, 3 martini glasses full of vodka. One of them is filled with water. We all guess and the winner doesn't take 3 shots of vodka at once. I think this started my junior year of HS. Thanksgiving. The morning of Thanksgiving we all wake up at 8 AM and go to a rifle range. Usually we are either still drunk from the night before or suffering from terrible hangovers. It is just a rifle target contest and the winner gets a silver martini glass. My sister-in-law's family has a certifiably insane Christmas tradition. You start the day singing happy birthday to Jesus, cake and all. I'm Catholic, but even I think that's far beyond wrong. After that first time, I looked at my dad and said, if we come out to CAF for Christmas again, we are skipping this part. That's just too fucking weird. He agreed. I didn't realize how dysfunctional my family get-togethers were until I met my wife. The first time I invited her over was Thanksgiving. I always thought my family was a little crazy, but see it through her eyes gave me a whole new perspective. We walked in, and the first thing we hear is my grandmother screaming, "I burned the damn rolls." My cousins are arguing over how much to chip in for the dinner. You see, all of our family dinners are paid by each person. You don't have any say in how much your part is. The minimum per person is $10. That's right, my grandmother charges for her cooking. The kids are screaming or crying. There is no silence in any part of this 1100 SQFT house. My aunts and uncles brave the cold weather to smoke 1/4 of a cigarette every 10 minutes outside because they are so stressed. They are not allowed to smoke inside because my grandmother is a reformed smoker. There is always a guarantee that a plate or dish will be broken over anger or frustration. This is not even a glimpse of the other things that happen during get-togethers. I visited my wife's family for Christmas. Everyone is reserved. Her grandmother cooks awesome. There is an order to everything. It just seems like a perfect family. Truth is, they just keep it to themselves. Not sure if this is better. I'm bored to death when I'm there. You can open one present on Christmas Eve, but it's chosen by your siblings, leading to lots of under-the-table negotiations and the eventual selection of the smallest or least interesting looking present. If you were really pissed off, you chose a card to be opened. Lots of fights were had. Not my family, but my ex-girlfriend, who is Ukrainian, this fact is important to the story, has really weird family traditions. When she was in elementary school, her dad used to wake her and her brother up 2 hours before school every day. Then he would put on a cassette tape of Ukrainian folk songs and they would take turns singing. When one of them finished a song, he would hold up a card with a number between 1 and 10 written on it to rate their performance. Still cracks me up when I think about it. Her family did a lot of weird things. My great-grandma used to do body shots off of babies. Whenever a family member would come over with their baby, my great-grandma would check to see if the soft spot on their head had closed up. If it hadn't, she'd put tequila on the soft spot and suck it off of our heads. She did it apparently to close the hole faster because evil spirits come in from that hole, and she believed that it took them out. Some of my aunts still do this. My family has been having a fake plastic ant battle since the 80s. It all started one day when we were at a family reunion, camping in Yosemite. My aunt had come across a bag of those plastic ants in a mom and pop shop nearby and decided to prank my grandfather by putting one in his coffee cup when he wasn't looking. He remarked about how big the ants are in the mountains and emptied his cup on the ground. At that point, the family decided it would be fun to continue pranking him all week, and he never caught on. Finally, somebody tipped him off on the last day of the reunion. He looked at us, nodded, we all said our goodbyes, and went our separate ways. The next year, he came prepared, armed with bags and bags and bags of plastic black ants. He terrorized the living shit out of every one of us. No sleeping bag was safe, no bowl of cereal uninfested, and when I went home I squeezed my toothpaste and an ant came out onto my brush. He got us, and he got us good. To this day the tradition continues. One year my aunt tied giant plastic ants to the roof racks of all of our cars. My mom has a welcome sign that has a metal ant on it. I once made a batch of cookies with chocolate, Jimmy ants on them. The ant war is probably my favorite thing that we do as a family, but I get the strangest looks when I try to explain why I'm cracking up at a picture of an ant my cousin posted on my FB wall. When we were on a family vacation to Florida, we passed a pool supply center called Pinch a Penny. My sister saw this and shouted, "Pinch a penny, poke a penis." We've all grown up now, but when my parents go down the same route to Florida every year, they'll prank call all of us, screaming "Pinch a penny, poke a penis" into the phone and hanging up. My family is pagan. They dance around bonfires half naked and smoke weed. When a family member dies, I have to fly back to Europe to kiss the family tree. As an agnostic, I find this very amusing. As someone who can barely afford anything, I find my family to be too expensive for my liking. But God admit, I love them. Getting my weekly calls from grandma reminding me to burn sage and other things make me happier than I usually let on. I love how they just make up these rules as they go too. We go to Hooters on Thanksgiving. We aren't oblivious to it being a weird tradition. My immediate family travels about 5 hours for Thanksgiving. We tend to do Thanksgiving dinner at like 2 to 3 p.m. to allow those who need to visit other households. Since my siblings, I'm one of 5, plus their S/O and children, my dad, stepmom and myself travel there, we don't really have anything to do after family time winds down. The elderly family members stay with my great aunt and uncle and we all stay in a hotel nearby. At about 7 to 8 p.m. the elders tend to be settling in for the night, and we head back to the hotel and often begin to get hungry again due to really having a late lunch and never really eating dinner. In years past we would just try to find a pizza place or something, but about 9 years ago we started going out for dinner. It is Thanksgiving so there are only a few options: IHOP, Waffle House and Hooters. On the inaugural Hooters Thanksgiving my sister was pregnant and swore she would throw up if we had IHOP or Waffle House. Hooters stuck as our annual post-Thanksgiving dinner. Instead of putting a star or angel on top of our Christmas tree, we have this 3-foot-long orange and purple plush snake I won at an amusement park years ago. I put it up one year as a joke, and it stayed there. The next year we decided to do it again. We named him Jake the Christmas Snake. He even has a short song. Jake the Christmas Snake. Merry Merry Christmas, like a snake. My dad is one of 12, so we usually have a giant family reunion every year, 40 plus people. It starts out all nice, but then the liquor starts flowing. Every year for the past decade we've gotten pissed drunk, and then someone fights someone. The fighting is not on purpose. It just seems to happen, and is usually different people every year. It's been a running gag that it's not a family Christmas until a fight breaks out. It didn't matter the holiday or the reason we were gathered, but the men sat in the living room in near total silence with some random sporting event on the television. The women sat at the table and quietly chattered. The grandkids, all 13 of us, were consigned to the 8x8 laundry room to eat until my older cousin's mom burst in shouting and hitting him for no reason whatsoever. My granddad would find a random granddaughter to corner in the shop to molest. My grandmother died just a few years ago and along with her, these tense gatherings. They fueled my social anxiety, so now I don't go to large family to-dos. Before my grandpa passed, my mom and him would give each other this set of ceramic teeth that were salt and pepper shakers. They would elaborately hide them in things when giving them back to the other person. I remember them showing up in at least 2 different pies, my birthday cake, a sealed box of crackling oat bran, mashed potatoes, a meatloaf at a restaurant, Swin and a stuffed animal my sister got for Christmas, and the list goes on and on. I have an unnecessary fear of teeth now. Each December, my family goes out into the woods, looks for a tree that we like and think is pleasing to the eye, and we actually chop it down. This tree we liked so much, and bring it home. From there we have this metal stand thing that puts the tree upright in our house. If that's not enough, we take shit that my parents have collected from over the years and hang it all over the tree. Lights, popcorn, shiny shit. It doesn't matter. If it exists it goes on the tree. It stays up there for about 3 weeks, until I guess someone sobers up and realizes how ridiculous it looks. The reason we keep doing it is because one year, When I was really young, someone broke into our house and left a bunch of presents under it while we were sleeping, and he has been back the same night every year. It's a little unnerving that we are basically inviting this stranger in, but nothing bad has come of it, except he eats some of our food each time, usually sweet stuff. If it wasn't for that guy and the goofy socks that would fit no one being filled every time we hang them by the fire on that exact same night, I doubt we would do it. We are a pretty weird family. My extended family gives an award every Christmas to the family member who is voted to have done the dumbest thing that year. The trophy is a gold crown that must be displayed prominently in the winner's house for the rest of the year. Past winning events have included sneezing and crashing a bike, sinking a rowboat, boarding the wrong bus in London, mistaking a Nerf football for a cardinal, hitting a small dog while on bike, and getting hit by a bus. You have to have thick skin to be a member of my family. We did this when we were kids, and no one ever seemed to wonder why. After Christmas, when we are going to clean everything up anyway, and it is going to get messier anyway as we move stuff around, we have a Phonebook fight. The living room is cleared, and we hurl the Phonebooks, yellow and white pages / business and residential, across the room, and they rip into pieces. You hold like 2 to 3 pages, and as you're throwing it, and usually they tear out. It's only over when there's no chunks of Phonebook left, just hundreds of single pages everywhere. I live in a big city, so these books are not small. I'm not sure when this started or why, but I know it's something my dad used to do in his house when he was growing up, and it was just a normal feature of my childhood. It sounds so weird when I write it out. I thought of another one. We used to rent a cabin / lake house for a week at the end of summer every year. There are 5 kids and mom and dad. Last day, we would go buy like 20 cream pies from the grocery store, the cheapest ones, like $2 each, and have a cream pie fight on the beach. My younger brother would always cry because he thought we were just going to eat pie. My family really liked to throw stuff at each other.